This time I was on the Angel Island level from Sonic 3, and it looked like everything was on fire. Tails looked as though he was scared out of his wits this time. He actually looked at me and made frantic gestures as if he wanted to get out of the area he was in as fast as possible. I was starting to get freaked out by this. Tails was actually breaking the fourth wall, trying to tell me to get him out of there. So I pressed down on the arrow key as hard as I could to make him run as fast as he could. A pixelated version of that creepy theme when you meet Shadow at the Ark as Robotnik from Sonic Adventure 2 was playing as I made Tails trek through the desolate forest, trying to help him escape from whatever he was trying to run from. Suddenly, I heard that creepy laugh again, that awful Kefka laugh. Right after 10 seconds had passed, as I helped Tails run through the forest, and then I started seeing flashes of Sonic popping everywhere on the screen, again with those black and red eyes. The music changed to that suspenseful jingle as I see Sonic behind Tails slowly gaining up on him flying. Sonic wasn't running, he was actually flying. The flying pose was his sprite was making looked very similar to Metal Sonic's flying pose in Sonic CD, except it was just Sonic and he had black and red eyes again, only this time he had the most deranged looking grin on his face. He looked as though he was enjoying the torment he was giving the poor little fox as he gained up on him. Suddenly, when Tails tripped, another cutscene, the music stopped and Sonic vanished. Tails led there and started crying for 15 seconds. The scene was rather upsetting to watch, and I kind of teared up myself. But then Sonic appeared right in front of Tails, and Tails looked up in horror. Blood started to come down those blackened eyes of Sonic's as a grin slowly grew from his face as he looked down at the horrified fox. I could do nothing but watch. Just in a split second, Sonic lunged at Tails right before the screen went black. There was a loud screeching noise that only lasted 5 seconds. The text returned, only this time it said, "You're too slow. Want to try again?" And then that god-awful laugh came with it. I was so shocked by what happened. Did Sonic murder Tails? No, he couldn't have. He and Tails are supposed to be best friends, right? Why did Sonic do that to him? I shook the shock off as I was brought back to the character select. The save file that had Tails was different. Tails was no longer in the box itself, in the TV screen itself, which was flickering with that red static. Tails' expression scared me. His eyes were black and bleeding. His orange fur had gone black, and he had an expression of anguish on his face. Trying to ignore it, I picked Knuckles next. The laugh came again, and the screen cut to black again and stayed there for another 10 seconds. This time the level said, "You can't run." I was really freaked out by now. I couldn't really tell if this was a glitch or a hack or some kind of twisted joke or anything really, but despite my fear of what happened next, I kept playing. The next level looked much different. It had the ground of the Scrap Brain Zone, but the sky background looked like the main menu. It had the dark, reddish, cloudy sky, but it was the music that creeped me out the most. It sounded like a Gigas theme after you beat Pokey in Earthbound. I also noticed that Knuckles looked afraid just like Tails did, but though not as much. More rather, he looked a little bit unnerved. He broke the fourth wall just like Tails and looked as if he wasn't sure about what was going on. But I made him move anyway. He ran down the straight pathway in this dark level, and as he did, the screen started to flicker with red static a couple of times. And then that maddening laugh came again. And then after a few seconds of running, I noticed several bloodstains on the metallic ground. I felt a growing sense of fear again, thinking something horrible was going to happen to Knuckles. He looked nauseated, walking down this blood-stained road. But I still kept him going. Suddenly, as Knuckles ran, Sonic appeared right in front of him with those black and red eyes, and then red static appeared again. When the static vanished, showing nothing but black screen with text saying, "Found you." I was now scared. Sonic found Knuckles already. What was going on? Anyway, red static came again, and then I was back to the level. Knuckles looked like he was panicking, and Sonic was nowhere to be found. And this time, that high-pitched squealing from the Silent Hill 1's final boss was playing. Was this some kind of boss battle with Sonic? I hope to God it wasn't, honestly. Suddenly, Sonic appeared right behind Knuckles in what appeared to be pixelated smoke. I made Knuckles turn and punch Sonic, but Sonic vanished in black pixelated smoke before I could even land a hit. The terrible laugh went off again. Then Sonic appeared right behind Knuckles again. And then I made him punch again. Then Sonic vanished, again laughing. Knuckles was panicking even more. And even I felt like I was going crazy. Sonic was practically playing with us. He was playing a sick, twisted little mind game on me and Knuckles. Another cutscene played as Knuckles fell to his knees and clutched his head, sobbing. I felt his agony. Sonic was actually driving us both crazy. And then in a split second, Sonic lunged at Knuckles, and the screen went black with another distorted screeching noise that lasted for at least 30 seconds. Another text message appeared. So many souls to play with so little time. Would you agree? What the hell? Just what is going on? I started to think Sonic was actually trying to talk to me through the game, but I was too scared to think that. I was brought back to the main menu, and this time the second file box had Knuckles and the TV screen. His red fur had darkened to a reddish gray. His dreadlocks were dripping with blood. And his eyes were black and bleeding too. And he had a look of sadness on his face. I began to think that those files are the actual characters trapped in those TV screens on the save files. But I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. So I shut off the game and took a break. I took a nap. Wish I hadn't, because then I began to have the most disturbing nightmare. I was in pitch black darkness. Though I was under the light given off by a lamp that hung high above my head. I could hear the cries of Knuckles and Tails nearby. They were saying stuff like, "Help us," and "Why did you give us to him?" and "Run away, but before he gets you too." Their cries died out as I then heard Sonic laugh. His laugh, it sounded like the distorted Kefka laugh. "You're a lot of fun to play with, kid. Just like your friend Kyle, though he didn't last long." I was scared and looking around for the source of the voice. "Won't be long now until you join him and all my other friends." I saw him walking toward me, flickering in and out in several directions. "You can't run, kid. You're in my world now, just like the others." When he grabbed me, and I saw his bleeding black and red-eyed, grinning face, I woke up with a fright. After a couple of hours, I decided to continue playing the game. I don't know why, but I had to know. I had to figure out why this was happening. So I turned on the computer, turned on the game, and selected Robotnik next. I still thought that was wacky, playing as Robotnik. But anyway, the level title appeared again. And this time it said, quote, ... quote. Which I found really freaky. This time, I was in some kind of hallway. Didn't really look like it was from any of the classic Sonic games, though it has the pixelated style. The floor was shiny and checkered. The walls were dark grayish purple with animated candle lights and a few dark blood stains here and there. And there was a dark red curtain hanging above on the top part of the screen. Every 12 seconds or so, that red curtain sways very slowly. But whenever you're playing the game, you can barely see it move. The music was oddly pleasant, a piano playing a rather sad yet peaceful song. But I knew better. This was the song that played in Hill Act 1, only it wasn't in reverse. Robotnik didn't look entirely nervous like Tails and Knuckles did, but he did have a suspicious look in his face, as if he was just a bit paranoid. He did a little animation when I just left him standing. He turns his head to the left and then to the right at least twice, and then shrugs at me as if he has no idea where he was or what was going on, even though I was scared out of my mind about what was going to happen. I had Robotnik continue onward. He did his usual running animation. You know, when you've beaten him at the end of the classic Sonic game and you chase him. As we continued going through the hallway. And then I stopped at a long flight of stairs leading onward. Now I was nervous. Even Robotnik seemed unsure of himself, though I pressed onward. As I led Sonic down the stairs, I noticed that the walls have gotten darker and more reddish. The red torches are now an eerie blue. Then we landed onto another hallway. This one was longer than the last one, or at least it felt like it. And then we headed down another flight of stairs down. This one was much longer. It took at least one full minute. And then I heard that horrid Kefka laugh again. And then the music slowly faded until it was quiet. As it did, The walls turned more dark red, and the torches were a black flame now. When Robotnik landed onto the third hallway, I noticed he now looked really creeped out, though he tried to hide it. I couldn't blame him. I was scared too. Suddenly, Sonic popped right in front of Robotnik, the same way he did Knuckles, and then Red Static. The red static lasted about 15 seconds, and then it showed me the most unpleasant image. The image showed a hyper-realistic version of Sonic standing in the darkness, where you can only see his face, while his head and torso faded into black. When I say hyper-realistic, he looks so real. You can actually see the lines in his blue fur, as if you could actually feel the fur if you touched the screen. His face, oh God. He had the most terrifying smile I had ever seen. And that's saying something, considering I saw that image at the start of the game. His eyes are wide and black, and once again crying blood, which also looked hyper-realistic. And there were two small glowing red dots in those black eyes, staring right at me, as if staring into my mind. His grin was wide and demonic, literally stretched into the sides of his face, like a Cheshire cat, except more vicious looking. Somewhat yellowish, and from the look of it, he had stains of blood and small bits of flesh on his lips and fangs, as if he ate some kind of animal. I stared at that gruesome image for a good 30 seconds, never taking my eyes off it. I felt as if he was actually looking at me, smiling at me. That face. It just took 10 seconds for it to etch itself into my brain for good. Then the screen flickered with red static again, 3 times, and on the third time, I heard the Kefka laugh again. Except this time, it sounded distorted, demonic even. It went back to the image again. Except this time, there was text saying, though it was messed up, but it was pretty much one of the most terrifying things I looked at since the game, since I had this game. I am God. And it was when I read that message while looking at Sonic, when it hit me. I realized right there and then, this Sonic was a monster. A pure evil, sadistic, all-powerful, nightmarish, demented monster. And all of his victims, including Tails, Knuckles, Robotnik, and possibly Kyle, are just his little toys. And the game is the very gateway into his chaotic, nightmarish world, and the very hell his victims are trapped in. Suddenly, in an actual split second, I screamed as Sonic lunged at the screen, screeching loudly with his mouth wide open to an unnatural length, revealing nothing but a literal spiraling abyss of pure darkness before the red static came again. this time much louder and distorted, so loud that it hurt my ears. I yelled and grabbed my ears as the red static screeched for a good 7 seconds. Then it stopped and showed nothing but black screen. I just sat there staring at the black screen. One last text came up. Ready for round two, Tom? The Kefka laugh, now sounding more clear, as if Sonic was right behind me. Played again 3 times as I looked at that text in shock and confusion. Then I got booted back to the main menu, and this time the third save file had a TV image of Robotnik in the game, tormented state as Tails and Knuckles. Robotnik's skin turned to a dull gray. His mustache dropped and had blackened. His glasses had yeah. His glasses broken blood is coming from them, and he had a mere dread-like expression on his face. I looked at Tails, Knuckles, and Robotnik, and I cried a bit. I pitied them for the agony they're going through. They were forever trapped within the game, forever tormented by that horrid hedgehog, and always will be. Then the computer shut itself off. And I couldn't turn it back on no matter what I did. I sat there for maybe 25 seconds. By what had just happened, Sonic is the very embodiment of evil. He tortures people to play his game more ways than one. And when he gets bored, he drags you into the game. He literally drags you to hell, where he can play with you always as his toy. I can't get the game out of my computer. I think it's stuck in there. But at least I managed to turn it back on now after I sat there uh, for 25 seconds. I heard a voice right behind me, like a whisper. Try to keep this interesting for me, Tom. I turned around to see where the voice came from, and, and and what I saw made me scream. Sitting on my bed, staring right at me, was a Sonic plushie, smiling with bloodstains under its eyes.